Hello, and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm your host, Connor McCann, and this is the show where the Curry community learns more about each other. Today's guest is Allison Poor-Donahue, a professor and chair of the Visual and Performing Arts Department at Curry. She'll be talking with us today about the graphic design major and minor. Welcome, Professor Poor-Donahue.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's great to have you here. For people that might not know, what exactly is graphic design?
So graphic design is the planning and creating of visual content to communicate a message to a consumer. Graphic designers are basically visual communicators, art creative problem solvers, and having a fabulous time doing it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. There are many great majors here at Curry that students can take. Why might they be interested in taking graphic design?
So a lot of students, come to us and they have no idea what graphic design is, but they love a logo that they drive by on the side of a truck when they were a kid, or they see a billboard, or they see a movie credits or clips, or they're influenced by something that's on social media where, we have a lot of sports media students that want to design all of that content. And then they understand that going into graphic design is where it really all starts. They start out with, our essentials of our programs, the Adobe Creative Suite. If there is anybody that loves art, loves business, loves the marketing side of it and everything, that's where they can really kind of channel all of those expertise in a career-driven program that will help them get into the industry.
Awesome. That's a lot of creativity there. I know that there are basic courses like Digital Essentials and Graphic Principles.
Yes.
But for those wanting to go further, what are some of the other more advanced courses students can take?
Right. So when I arrived here at Curry in fall of 2019, I recreated a graphic design program, which was a Bachelor's of Science, which is a 4-year program where they start out their first year right in graphic design, and they do start out with that Digital Essentials course, which is the Adobe Creative Suite. And then we work our way through the graphic principles. So the first year is really getting the foundations with a lot of studio art courses and that Digital Essentials. And then our second year, we're really working on those brainstorming techniques and how to develop the principles and the elements of design. And then in the third and the fourth year, what we're really doing is expanding on those. And I think because we're at such a small institution and we can really focus in on our students' drives and interests, it allows us to help them develop, whether they're going into their third and fourth year, what areas they want to expand on. Do they want to expand on package design? Do they want to expand on typography? Do they want to go into motion graphics? Do they want to go into strategic branding? So a lot of those courses, really kind of help and foster the plan that our student will use when they graduate.
Awesome. If a graphic design was something a student wanted to pursue, what career opportunities would be available to them when they graduate?
It's funny, I tell a lot of my prospective students and the students that come into a freshman class that their position, believe it or not, because the field is so changing and evolving and programs are being developed, once you learn those tools and those techniques and everything, their position when they graduate probably hasn't even been named, developed yet because of the ever-evolving, changing industry. So it is absolutely fabulous. There was a couple years ago, there was no such thing as a cross-media designer. Cross-media designer does anything from print to web to social and things like that. So now we're preparing our students for those cross-media positions. The nice thing that we offer is that we have an advisory board. An advisory board is outside industry folks. We meet with them once a year and we ask those specific questions. What would be your ideal candidate that you would hire? And we make sure that we can bring those things back into our curriculum. The nice thing about our program is that we are doing the Bachelor's of Science, so it is throughout the 4 years. It is heavy course load. And the nice thing about it is that we bring in the business aspects, the marketing aspects, and we also bring in, the career industry aspects.
Gotcha.
And Curry has been absolutely fabulous where they've built me this fabulous think tank studio that has all of the equipment, the bells and the whistles that everybody's using in industry. So our students are being trained and there's a very, very smooth transition from when they go from our classroom to the industry.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you again, Professor Poor-Donahue. Looks like we're out of time. If you have any questions or want to get in contact with Allison, her email is Allison curry.poor-donahue@curry.edu. I'm Connor McCann, and thanks for another talk of Curry Talks.
Hello, and welcome to Curry Talks, the show where the Curry community learns a little bit more about each other. I'm Lexi Mater, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Gabe DeSouza. Gabe is a senior at Curry, who is also one of the captains of this year's football team. Today he'll be reflecting on his football career at Curry and what is to come next in his future and the team's future. Plus, all you need to know about Curry football. Welcome, Gabe.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So why exactly did you decide to come to Curry? Was football a big part of your decision?
So the summer going into my senior year, I had a lot of recruiting going on with some Division I, Division II, and Division III coaches. However, when it came time to make a selection for my commitment for college, Curry College was the only school that was really like putting the emphasis on getting me here. The coaches were going out their way to come to like basketball games, meeting with my father, and like for me that was like a really big thing that they were trying to build a close relationship, and not the other schools that were recruiting were doing that. So for me it was kind of like a no-brainer that Curry ended up being the only school I applied to, got accepted in, and you know the rest kind of played itself out.
Well, we're glad you decided to come here. So I see that you played all your years of eligibility at Curry, but unfortunately the 2020 season was canceled because of the pandemic. How frustrating was that to deal with, not being able to compete, and what was the mood of the team?
Yeah, so I think for a lot of us when COVID was first beginning, it was like a lot of uncertainty of what's to come and like what the protocols were going to be. And going into that fall, we were very like skeptical of like what was to happen, and when we got the notice that we weren't going to have a season, we chose to, well, the coaches at the time chose to flip the script with like having spring ball in the fall, therefore allowing us to like stay active, participate in like a lot of football meetings, workouts and sessions, and I think it kept us all in shape, just kept the energy up, and a lot of guys were really excited to at least have some type of football to be played versus nothing at all.
Great, and that actually perfectly answers my next question, which was how did you all manage to stay in shape? So you just kind of kept practicing?
Yeah, it kept the same workout routine, the same like type of structure with like lifting, conditioning, strength, like all that stuff. So it was a good fall for sure.
Nice, I'm glad. So in addition to that, there were some injuries that you had during the game. How did you manage to play through those injuries and overcome the adversity?
Yeah, so my junior year, I went into the season with the torn hip labrum that I messed up during the summer. I was, like I said before, I was very skeptical as to what was going to happen for myself. And with the help of the trainers, like the coaches and stuff, they were very cooperative of helping me get all the training and PT time that I needed in order to get back into the season. And for me, it was like having the support from my teammates and coaches that, they were gonna have my back, and like anything that I needed, I could reach out to them, was very a big help. Later in the season, I ended up getting injured again, this time on my other leg, and I still had the same support, so nothing changed. And when I chose to finish up the season, I made the decision of pausing and delaying my surgery, so I could finish it out with the guys that I was started the season with. And I think in doing that, I learned a lot more about like what I'm capable of, like what my limits are, and I was just really happy for myself that I was able to finish something that I started.
Yeah, that's a lot of dedication. Did you ever consider playing another sport in college?
No, football was kind of always the main thing for me.
Nice. So you were promoted to one of the captains this year. Can you talk about how you've matured since day one at practice and how underclassmen look up to you?
Yeah, definitely. You always have to walk as if someone's watching you. You always have to do things as if you were like on the camera, just because you never know who's watching. So to hold myself to a higher standard and doing the right things, like going to class, making sure my grades are good, maintaining eligibility, and just overall just checking in on my teammates, just making sure the young guys got the same attention and support that I always wanted and needed was definitely a big thing. Being a captain was definitely something that was on the objective list coming into Curry, and just being the captain of a football team just is like the same way of being the boss of a company or like the CEO of a firm. It's like you have to hold yourself to higher expectations if you want your like predecessors to like follow you and have that same standard. So it was good.
All right, well, we're just about out of time. Thank you so much for joining us today here, Gabe. For more information about the football team and how to get involved, please visit the Curry Athletics website at curryathletics.com. I'm Lexi Vader. Please join us again for another edition of Curry Talks.
Welcome to Curry Talks. I'm your host, Owen Bynum, and this is the show where the Curry community gathers with one another and we get to learn a little bit more about each other. Today's guest is Todd Parsons. He is new to Curry, and he has just completed his first season as Curry College's head football coach. He is here to talk about his experiences as a coach, his recruiting process, and what it looks forward to as being the head coach of Curry. Welcome, Coach Parsons.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah. So I understand you've coached around all divisions here. You've coached at Brown, Assumption, and most importantly, offensive coordinator at Endicott. How have these experiences prepared you for your first head coaching job here at Curry?
Yeah, so I think all those opportunities helped me prepare for this. You know, when I first got into coaching, I wasn't sure, you know, if I wanted to be a head coach, if I wanted to be a coordinator, but I knew, having played Division III football, that it was going to be a competitive field. Yeah. You know, and the one thing I wanted to be able to do was have an opportunity to coach at every level. You know, so if a job opened up, that they weren't going to be able to tell me that I didn't have that experience. So being able to coach on every level certainly prepared me. My time at Endicott as the assistant head coach and offensive coordinator probably prepared me the most, and not necessarily the coordinator role, but the assistant head coach role, where it was, you know, scheduling games, you know, equipment inventory, you know, all the travel, you know, planning the travel, all the little things that you don't know go into coaching, and having that on my plate certainly helped prepare me for what the head coaching job encompasses.
Yeah, so when you actually decided to make that change and to become a head coach role here at Curry, what made Curry the destination for you? Yeah,
so, you know, my experience in this conference, I think, in understanding what Curry, you know, once was. You know, when I first got an opportunity at Salve Regina University back in 2010, Curry was the standard. You know, they were coming off a stretch of, you know, 7 conference championships, you know, winning NCAA playoff games, hosting them, getting at-large bids. So winning has been done here, you know, before. And then even my time at, you know, Endicott, you know, coming off of a championship year there, Curry was one of the teams that gave us a lot of trouble, right? And they always just had a tough, you know, student athlete, and that kind of was a draw here, you know. So I think understanding what Curry has been and what they're capable of doing, and understanding the type of student athletes that were in place here, right, to build on.
Yeah, of course. And understanding sports is all about winning and losing. But how do you approach mentoring these young men here on the Curry College football team?
Yeah, so I think, you know, we try to talk about it a lot, you know, and, you know, the things that we talk about that will make us a good football team, those characteristics should also make them, you know, good students and you know, good humans, right, at the end of the day. Of course. The one thing we really want to focus on is, you know, responsibility. You know, when you choose Curry and to be a part of this program, you have a responsibility to yourself. You have a responsibility to the people that help get you here. And then you also have a responsibility to your teammates, right, to make sure we're doing everything correct on and off the field, which hopefully will prepare them for when this is all said and done.
Yeah, and I understand you said that Curry has had a long time of greatness in the past, but recently they've kind of struggled within the past 2 years. What kind of expectations can you expect for Curry in the coming future?
Well, I think, you know, the expectation is to compete for a conference championship, right? That's the ultimate goal. We're fortunate enough if we win our conference, you know, we do get an automatic bid into the national playoffs. You know, but it takes time, you know, and I think that's something we all probably learned this past year, that It's not necessarily what we do, but it's how we do it, and that it does take time to build, you know. I think we have a really good group of guys coming back. We lose a great group of seniors. You know, unfortunately, that maybe don't reap the benefits of the win-losses, but I'm hoping that they're carrying something out of this, you know, of some life lessons that they may have learned. But now we're looking for this group that's coming back to kind of not let us as coaches drive this, you know, but now it's their turn to drive this when we bring some incoming freshmen in here.
Well, thank you, Coach Parsons. We were just about all the time. For more information about Curry College football and Coach Parsons, you can visit the athletic website as well as follow him on Twitter at Coach T. Parsons. I'm Owen Bynum, and please join us again for the next edition of Curry Talks.
Hello, I'm Michael Ouellette, and welcome to Curry Talks, the show where the Curry community learns more about each other. Today, we have Gio Martins. Welcome, Gio.
Thank you for having me.
He is a business major at Curry, who is also a member of the men's soccer team. He'll be talking with us today about the recruiting process and the life of being a student athlete at Curry. I understand you graduated from Brockton High School and played on the varsity soccer team there. The college recruiting process may be a bit of a nerve-wracking process. What's some advice, now that you've been through it, that you would give to incoming recruits?
I would agree. It is a bit nerve-wracking, but if you have a lot of film and a lot of coaching staffs you can reach out to, it should be really decent. It'll be okay to start reaching out.
The soccer team seemed to have a pretty good season this year, ending with a record of 6-5-5. And you yourself put away 3 goals and tallied 1 assist while on the field. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Explain to me the importance it is to you to be a student athlete.
To be a student athlete is very important. Me growing up, I just fell in love with the game ever since a young age. So to be able to continue my career in Curry and be a college athlete is very important to me. Just fell in love with the game. That's all I can say.
Of course, love for the game. In addition to sports, you also decided to become an RA. What are the expectations in that role?
The expectations are a little bit tricky. We just have to make sure everybody's able to have fun, but also be safe on the Curry College campus. Outside of just schoolwork, make sure everybody's doing their own thing, you know?
Yeah, of course. With class, practices, and RA duties, what does your workload look like? And are there still opportunities to have fun?
Workload looking like, it's usually I get out of class, go to practice, maybe have an RA meeting, sit down with some of my bosses, and then at the end of the day do homework or go to the gym. But it's just a lot of time management, you know? Just going day by day, make sure you have a schedule. I usually use a calendar, but things of that nature, you know?
You'd say your calendar's pretty packed?
Yeah, pretty packed.
That's good. That's a lot of time management to juggle. Are there any perks for a student athlete versus a student not involved in athletics?
I'd say the gear. From as you can see, I have a Curry College gear on, soccer gear. It's just like a varsity jacket in high school, you know? Most people don't have it, but if you have it, you're just lucky to have it.
Yeah, you are lucky to have it. It's a nice looking jacket, by the way. And after all, if you had the opportunity to do it all over again, would you?
I would, 100% indeed. These last 4 years have been amazing. The group of guys I've been with, they just fell in love with us, and then we just kept going. We were from a very, very low standing team to from where we're bringing it up to. I'd 100% do it all over again.
What would you say your favorite part is right now as a junior, and why?
As a junior, I'd say the incoming freshmen. Just seeing taking the kids from a high school level to a college level, for them to be able to grow is just amazing to see. From maybe doing like one-touch passes to like be able to turn and like score, and like the excitement is it's like a rush, you know?
Yes, and going back to the RA thing, do you think that was a good decision? Do you think that taught you a lot about being a leader?
It taught me a lot about being a leader on and off the field. You know, some of my teammates and bosses look at me a little bit different just because like I'm taking on that role, you know? It's just a higher step. Like I'm more involved in the community.
Yeah, of course, RAs are very involved in the community. Now, going into your senior season next year, what are some goals you have in place to have a successful and memorable last season?
I'd say win a CCC ring. That's the main goal, you know. just to be able to win with the guys we're with, and to be able to walk that stage, I'd be see the smile on my family's faces, and yeah, just graduate.
You got any new information like about new recruits? Anybody coming that's gonna really shock the Curry College soccer men's program?
No, I can't say yet. Not yet.
Nothing yet?
We do have, my freshman year was a strong group of young guys, so we're all very young still. We're all maybe just coming into senior or junior year, so we still got a lot of fresh legs.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, thank you, Gio. We are just about out of time. For more information about the recruiting process, visit the Curry College athletics page. And to stay involved with the men's soccer team, follow them at Curry Soccer, Curry College Soccer, on all socials. I'm Michael Ouellette. Please join me again for another edition of Curry Talks.
Hello, and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Thomas Davis, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Vicki Nelson, a Curry advisor and communications professor. We've asked Professor Nelson to join us today in a conversation about public speaking, a task feared by 76% of the global population. She'll be sharing some tips and tricks on how to stay calm and confident when faced with public speaking. Welcome, Professor Nelson. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So as a professor for Curry's public speaking class, you're clearly well versed in the art. How would you describe the feeling of stage fright, and how can we recognize it?
Well, Thomas, there's an interesting thing about your question, and it's something I think we all do, and that is you use the word stage fright. And I think that's part of the problem, because we think about public speaking as a performance, and we think about being on stage, and so it helps if we can not think that we're performing for an audience. But to actually answer your question about stage fright and how it feels, it's different for everyone. Some people get those sweaty palms, the dry mouth, the butterflies in the stomach, the shaky hands, and I think everybody knows it when they experience it, so they probably don't need me to describe it. They recognize it, but it's different for everybody.
Mm-hmm. So public speaking is ranked as the #1 fear, surpassing fear or death. How can people face this daunting statistic and manage their speaking anxiety?
It's a crazy statistic, isn't it? To think about, I'd rather die than have to give this speech. And I think one of the things that statistic tells us is that we're afraid because we've learned to be afraid. We hear so many people talk about being afraid of public speaking that we say, oh, if I have to give a speech, I ought to be afraid. So I think recognizing that we are going to be nervous and just embracing those nerves is one of the things that will help us sort of ignore that statistic.
Very interesting. Something that commonly holds people back from public speaking is the fear of mistakes. How should people deal with mistakes, and is it okay if they happen?
Absolutely, they're okay, because I think it goes back to that performance thing that I talked about earlier, that we view it as a performance. And if we stop thinking about the public speaking as a performance and think of it more as an extended conversation with someone, then you and I are having a conversation, and if I have to grasp for a word or I have to stop and think about what I'm going to say, you don't see it as a mistake. It's a normal part of the conversation. Right. So let the mistakes happen and don't worry about them.
Yeah, mistakes are bound to happen no matter what, right?
They are.
So how have you personally dealt with the stress of public speaking, and how did you grow into the successful public speaker you are today?
Well, thank you. I hope I'm successful. I don't know. So you want a personal confession here. I think basically there are 4 things that I try to do or that I've done. And the first is I still get nervous. every time I have to give a speech or a presentation, and I've learned to embrace that. It's not the enemy. I'm not going to get rid of it. I want to use that energy. So that's the first thing. I just embrace the nerves. And the second thing is, you know the expression, fake it till you make it. You fake it. You fake the confidence. And that's not for the audience's benefit. It's for my benefit. If I act confident, I will feel more confident. And I think the third thing I do is prepare. You know, if I have to give any kind of speech, practice, 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 and then when I think I'm ready, practice the heck out of it some more so that I don't have that added fear of, am I ready? And the last thing is just to do it, and do it as often as I can. Anytime we're doing anything that's new to us, we're nervous. But if you just keep doing it, you get more comfortable and more familiar with the experience. So, you know, embrace the nerves, be confident or pretend you're confident, prepare a lot, and just keep doing it.
Wonderful. Well, that concludes our show for today. Thank you again, Professor Nelson,
Thanks
for joining
for having
us.
me.
If you're interested in further improving your speaking skills, consider joining Curry's public speaking or oral interpretations class. With Curry Talks, I'm Thomas Davis. Thanks for watching.
Hi, and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm your host, Owen Bynum, and this is a show where the Curry community gathers with one another, and we get to learn a little bit more about each other. Today's guest is Professor Marcy Holbrook, and she is the Director of Theater here at Curry College. Professor Holbrook is here to talk about the theater program and how even non-theater students can benefit from the values and skills that theater classes teach. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you so much, Owen. Happy to be here. Yes, theater is something that I can talk about for a long time. But when you ask that question about how other people can benefit from theater, theater is not meant just for actors. There's so many components to putting on a show and so many exciting things, PR, building, costumes. I don't think there's any other art where there are so many individual little pieces that have to come together. So it's exciting. And I think some of the ways that it benefits other people is that it helps them learn to speak better. It helps enhance their physical movement. It gives them confidence. These are some of the things I think we expect to hear, but more importantly, I think there's a lot of things that doesn't meet the eye, like learning skills and listening skills, the ability to learn something, bring it to fruition, a goal that's set, concentration skills. All these are transferable to any other thing, as well as self-discovery, which I think everybody appreciates, and that ability to look through somebody else's eyes so we can gain empathy, which I think the world needs a lot of these days. Also, I think one of the great things it does for people is it creates a village for them. They meet people that they like, that they have friends with, and so I think really it's a great way to have retention in the school, because once you meet people that you feel comfortable with, you're not as likely to get discouraged and want to go someplace else. So yeah, I think my favorite thing that it does for people, it teaches you how to problem solve and make decisions.
For sure. And after knowing all of that, I know that the theater classes here at Curry typically have low enrollment. Could you explain what some of the factors may be and why students don't want to take theater classes?
Of course. In my opinion, of course, and there are several factors, I first want to clarify something. Not all of our classes are low enrollment. Our acting class is usually maxed out, as well as some of the other practicums. But some of our classes are low enrollment, and there's several factors here. I think that one of the things that would help us is to have more presence on the campus, not just doing the shows, but when people go to sign up for classes, I'm hoping someday we get our own little designation of theater.
Yeah.
And because there's a precedence for that with other people on campus. And then also, I think because we've gone into a gen ed program, the more we get our classes with a gen ed designation on them, I think they'll start to fill more. But people are so pressured to try to get all those things done, and if they can't find that outlet. And then, of course, there's also the people that are shy about it, that maybe have a secret hankering to do it, but they just think, I'm not sure if I can. And we try to make things gentle and exciting and fun. Yep.
So even if not pursuing an acting career, we understand that these classes can teach you valuable life lessons. Can you name two theater classes here that you think can benefit any type of student?
Oh, of course. I'm going to start with improv, because improv is a one-credit course, and it's a lot of fun. But a couple of things that I think it helps you that will benefit you no matter what you do outside of Curry is it helps you think on your feet. It helps you to be able to use your mind and come up with things quickly. Well, that's kind of the same thing, but it helps you to be creative. And one of the factors that improv has that many people probably aren't aware of is that it has all kinds of health benefits. You know, if you're going through a semester and you need a little infusion of something, take an improv class.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Professor Holbrook. I hope we brought awareness to the benefits of theater. We're about out of time for today. Please join us for our next edition of Curry Talks.
Curry Talks. I'm Ryan Franey, and this is the show where the Curry community learns more about each other. Today's guest is Zach Pizzano, a senior here at Curry and one of the managers of Curry's Intramural program. He'll be talking with us today about the program and what's to come in the future. Welcome, Zach.
Thank you for having me.
Can you just give us a brief explanation of what the Curry Intramurals are?
Yeah, of course. So Curry Intramurals is a area where we make sports happen. We love to make sure that the Curry community has something to do in their free time, offering sports and different activities for, people to do when they have some time to kind of kill. And, it's really awesome. It's great that we have that here at Curry and that we offer it. So,
sounds great. What sports do you offer for each season of the year?
We offer a lot of different things. We offer in this fall time, we offer flag football, soccer, and then the winter to spring area we offer basketball along with softball. And throughout the year we offer a bunch of different other activities, such as we have a cornhole tournament. We just recently had a 3v3 little basketball tournament, just stuff to kind of get people involved, get to know intramurals, what we're offering, and we offer a good amount of stuff here. So,
wow, that's impressive. And did you want to participate in any of the sports, since it seems pretty easy to sign up and it's free to participate, right?
Yeah, that's actually how I ended up getting the job with Intramurals, was just by participating. I came here my freshman year in 2019, and the first sport I actually played was flag football, and we actually won the championship, which was pretty cool. But that's kind of how I learned about Intramurals, was through just playing it. It's fairly easy to get to know it. We're everywhere. We have posters all around campus. We do things like street teaming, which is where we sit in the student center, and we will advertise for stuff like basketball and all the other sports that are coming up. And I really did just find out from just playing, and that's how I ended up getting to where I am today here as a senior, which is crazy to think about, going back only 3 or 4 years that I was playing it, and now I'm here now being a manager of it. So it was a big difference, but I really love it. So, and it's very like you said, fairly easy to sign up. Right on the portal, very easy to find. And if you need help, you can find me anywhere. We'll be willing to help out.
Very kind of you. Now, If you were someone who had never played any of the sports on offer, for example, I've never played any of these sports, how competitive are these sports? Is it something beginner friendly?
To an extent, I would definitely say that there are some sports that are a lot more competitive than others. For just to give an example, I would definitely say the basketball here can become very competitive. It gets intense, but it is still really fun, and it is a great way to just get out there and meet new people, and just obviously most important thing is just to have fun.
So speaking of basketball, I know that we usually offer 2 separate leagues for basketball. Do you do that with any of the other sports here?
We haven't yet. We typically do basketball just for the fact that there are so many people that sign up, and also, like you mentioned, the competitive level. So we made an A league and a B league last year, and we had the A league being the more competitive league, and then the B league kind of being like the more mellow, kind of chill out kind of league. And then you definitely see the difference when you have the A teams and the B teams playing, but it was just for basketball that we have the split between the A and the B right now for the competitiveness.
And if I'm correct, you actually got some training as a referee for the sports that are offered?
Yes. So for every sport that we have, we are required to receive some sort of training to get the knowledge of the sport, the penalties, and how to operate. And we also will do kind of like a mock kind of game to see, what's happening, so we can, in a real game, make sure we're making the correct call. And we receive that training roughly a couple weeks before we start the actual season of whatever it is. So for basketball, we'll probably be starting up either maybe before we go home, or if not, we'll be doing it right as we get back to campus for the second semester.
All right. Well, thank you, Zach. Unfortunately, we are out of time for today, so thank you for sitting down with me. If you wish to find any more information on Curry's intramural program, you can visit the Curry homepage and click on the My Campus tab. I'm Ryan Franey. Please join us for another episode of Curry Talks.
Hello and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Lexi and I'll be your host for today. This is the show where the Curry community learns a little bit more about each other. Today's guest is Dr. Samantha Sawyer, and she is the new leader of the Forensic Science major. Welcome, Samantha. Thank you. So today she'll be filling us in about the Forensic Science major, what it entails, and the general background of forensic science. So could you give us just a rundown of what forensic science is?
Yeah, so forensic science in its basic etymology. So forensic is historically known as debate. A lot of debate teams are called forensics teams because of this. More often it's used as the legal application of. So basically forensic science is the legal application of a science. So very broadly speaking, so just about any of the sciences could be a forensic science as long as it's answering a legal question.
So it sounds like it's fairly similar to what we see on TV and crime shows, is it not?
So there's a lot of misconceptions, specifically from shows like NCIS, CSI, about what forensic scientists actually do. Typically, that's kind of playing the idea of the CSI investigator, where they play detective, they're the CSI, they're the forensic analyst, and they do just about everything. But in reality, that's not the case. Usually, you are either a CSI, a detective, or you work in the crime lab where you're processing particular analyses, or you're like someone like me. I'm a forensic entomologist, so I take casework as a private consultant, so I work outside of the crime lab.
Wow, yeah, that's much different than I thought. So what types of classes do forensic science majors need to take? What resources are available to them on campus?
Yeah, so the forensic science program broadly is a general science class where they take all their biologies, they take all their chemistry, so all of our students take everything that the biology majors take, everything that the chem majors take. Sometimes they'll take biochemistry, so a lot of our students actually double major because of that. But in addition to all these broad science classes, they have to take forensic specific courses. So that idea of crime scene investigation, how do you pick up and document evidence, how do you go about a crime scene, and how do we actually present this information in the court of law.
So it sounds like it's a really hands-on major. What are some other aspects that forensic science majors get to explore?
The forensic science is a directly applied science. So where they get their broad understanding in their general science classes, then they physically get the hands-on experience. They also have to do research. So all of the science majors have to do research or an internship to complete their degree program. So the forensic science majors can do any type of research in microbiology if they want to be a forensic microbiologist, if they want to work with me with decomposition. There's genetics if they wanted to do DNA analysis, or they can do an internship in a crime lab.
Nice. Do students get exposed to the legal aspects of forensic science as well?
Yeah, so in particular classes, especially the upper level classes, students will have to process data as they learn in that particular class, but there are other classes as well, and then be able to stand in court and do that debate, the forensics aspect of it, where they have to stand testimony and actually present how they did their analyses and why they did it the way they did.
Nice. So I heard that some forensic science majors created a club recently. What kind of activities does the club do?
Yeah, so one of the more recent activities that they're doing is in conjunction with the criminal justice program. So that is going to be a murder mystery night. So they're very excited about that. That's going to be on December 10th. And that is one of their more recent big ones. They also do a lot of tabling, and they meet pretty regularly on Mondays each month.
Wonderful. Well, we're just about out of time. What are ways that people can reach out to get more information about forensic science?
Yeah, so they can reach out directly to me at samantha.sawyer@curry.edu, or they can reach out to the program coordinator, Professor Jim Jabor, at james.jabor@curry.edu.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today. We're completely out of time. So thank you for joining us, and please join us at another time for another edition of Curry Talks.